Welcome to StreetGangs.com SGTV. Today, jury selection for the murder trial of former BART police officer Johannes Meserle was underway. 200 jurors had to answer 120 questions regarding everything from race to their sentiments about police officers to determine whether they're capable of objectively looking over this trial. The defense attorney for Mr. Meserle was able to get a change of venue from Oakland, where this original killing took place, to Los Angeles. Now, Mr. Meserle is accused of killing Oscar Grant III on a transit platform with a bunch of onlookers witnessing it, and some of them even videotaped the actual shooting. Mr. Meserle pulled his gun out and shot Mr. Grant in his back as he laid down, and he appeared to be handcuffed at the time. Now, the defense for Mr. Meserle is going to argue that this was an accident, that Mr. Meserle thought he was pulling out his taser and thought he was going to taser Mr. Grant. Now, the prosecution is going to argue that there is no way you can confuse a taser gun with a handgun. The taser gun has a different feel, and additionally it weighs a whole lot lighter than a handgun. This trial is going to be extremely interesting because the defense, Mr. Meserle, has an excellent attorney named Michael Raines, and he has had success in the past with defending police officers. He himself is a former police officer and a Vietnam veteran, so he understands these issues, thoroughly. The prosecution got a couple of challenges to deal with because today the judge ruled that a previous incident that Mr. Grant had with police officers back in 2006 will be introduced as evidence. Apparently he resisted arrest with some police officers 4 years ago, and they had to taser him. So, this is going to be an issue that the jury is going to ultimately have to deal with, and whether or not other things in Mr. Grant's past will be introduced as evidence remains to be seen. Mr. Grant's past is certainly not a clean one. He has several convictions. He has served time in prison, and he was only 22 years old. But the prosecution is going to argue that Mr. Meserle didn't know anything about Mr. Grant at the time of his encounter, and all of that information is irrelevant. The prosecution is going to argue that Mr. Meserle committed a deliberate act that resulted in the death of another human being. Jury selection will continue tomorrow morning, Wednesday, and if all goes according to schedule, opening statements will be heard by the jury on Thursday morning. We will be at the trial every day providing updates on this case as it progresses. So please stay tuned, and thanks for checking out StreetGangs.com.